Hello, everybody. Welcome. Super excited to have you here today. We have another full house. We're super excited. Today's going to be talking about the deployment plan. We have about 2 minutes left. If you want to just say hi, say what you're up to today, we are more than welcome. Glad you're joining us, Danielle Cleveland. You were awesome yesterday. Super excited to have you guys back. All right, we'll get started here in 1 minute. Hello, Miss Jessica Gates. It's always good to see you online. Hope you're doing well today. Hopefully the weather is good in Houston. All right, who else do we have? We have up to 80 people already, so it's super exciting. We have of course, you know me, I'm always trying to do something different just to give you guys some ideas. Last week I tried to implement the board. It worked well, but people were complaining because it was too blurry. So today we're going to be doing a little bit different, trying to engage you as much as possible to get ready for this whole blended learning deployment plan. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to try to make this as interactive as possible. So I am going to be showcasing, talking, stopping, asking questions like I normally do, but we also have Jeff and Allison. They're going to be answering all your questions in the background. One of the things we always get asked is, can we get your slides? And my answer is, of course. But today is one that you're going to really want to grab a hold of when I send it out. We're going to send out a link midway through the webinar because this is like a really good deployment plan that you can just have hanging by your desk to kind of help you remind you what you're doing. So when we're going through everything today, it's going to look something like this, what you're going to get today. So you want to make sure that you're kind of paying attention because then you could just have it sitting there and you'd be like, oh yeah, what did Marcia say? When do I need to be doing this? This really helped out a lot of our teachers when they were deploying the traditional blended learning. But we're going to be talking today about virtual. We're going to be talking about a hybrid, and we're going to be talking about the new norm, like a social distance blended learning classroom. Okay, this is going to be fun and exciting. I'm using today a hover cam. If you have not used a hover cam, this is what it looks like. It's a hover cam Solo 8. It just connected right to my computer. No, they did not pay me to do this. I truly just really like their product. I should say product. I use it a lot in some of my schools. So today we are giving away a hover cam. We are going to actually mail you a hover cam to one lucky winner. So this is really nice, especially if you're going to be doing virtual teaching. This hover cam is going to be able to help you. Again, they did not sponsor this. This is just me promoting something that really works in the classroom and in the virtual classroom environment. All right, today we're going to be going over, like I said before, a deployment plan first for virtual classrooms. I'm going to walk you through 9 weeks of how to get started by teaching in a virtual classroom. As we're going through that, I am going to then go and show you some examples of what it looks like. We're going to bring up lesson plans for 2nd grade, middle school, and high school in a virtual classroom. So get your pens ready. Let's get started. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen and I'm going to attach it to my hover cam. So when you're teaching from a virtual environment, all I did was have it connected, and then of course my hover cam is here. I'm really trying to increase the ante here and trying something new and different to kind of make sure that you stay with me. So this is a month view, a deployment plan for a virtual classroom. I'm going to start in August. I know some of the schools that I work with, they do not start until maybe September. But don't worry. As I'm going, I'm going to say this is week 1, this is week 2. Just because it says August does not mean you can't do it if you start in September, okay? So the first week of August, most of the teachers do not come back to school yet. They're basically hanging out, getting ready for the classroom, getting ready. It's the 2nd week in August. That's what we're going to be taking a look at. The 2nd week of August usually looks something like this. Don't you usually have like a whole group meeting? Hold on, I want to make sure that this stops anti-focusing. That kind of makes me sick. So usually there's a whole school meeting. This year, it will probably be a virtual whole school meeting, but you're going to all get together and talk about what it looks like, okay? Then There's usually professional development. I know this because schools are already hiring us out to help with that professional development day. And usually at professional development, they're going to be talking about what it looks like for the school year, all the things that are required. But I bet this year, there's going to be a big focus on getting ready for those blended learning virtual classroom environments. Then, in a virtual setup, you got to actually stop and plan for your virtual classroom. When we're in a traditional classroom, we go in and we spend a week, 2 weeks. Sometimes I don't think the teachers leave for summer vacation. They just kind of hang tight. But what we got to do is we had to prepare our virtual classroom just as much as we would prepare our traditional classroom. What does that mean? That means making sure you have all your materials ready to go. What websites do you plan on using? How is it going to look? What is your recording studio going to look like when you're meeting with your students? Really think about designing your space, make it inviting, make it feel like your classroom. The more you make it feel like someplace you want to present in, the more the students are going to want to be there. So take time to plan your virtual classroom, okay? Then normally there's another professional development day, and that professional development day is still going to go over something that you need to get ready for the school year. And then finally, usually they give us Friday. Usually that Friday is when we're making name tags and we're doing all kinds of fun things for the students, and I still need you to do that. Make name tags, make something fun and inviting so when the kids come, maybe they hold up a little sign that says, "Hi, I'm Marsha Kish." Make it feel in that virtual environment just as close to what you would when those kids walk through that door, okay? All right, that's week one. No kids yet, just getting prepared. Here we go, week two. In a week two environment, we have our first day of school. First day of school is usually where all the teachers are like, here's the agenda, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to, this is what the school year looks like. I would still do that. I would tell them, hey, this is our Zoom meeting. This is where you're going to meet. This is where our resources are. This is where you're going to find it. And take time to practice with the students. If you're going to be using Google Classroom, walk them through how to do a Google Classroom. Doesn't matter if they did it this spring. Go back through, it's your classroom, you set it up the way that you do it. Then you're going to just go through what you need to have them do, and then you're going to move on to day two. Day two, I'm pushing, guys. You guys ready for this? Day two, we're going to do a small group and an independent practice. So I'm going to put this here so you remember what SG and IN stand for. Small group instruction is where I am going to meet with half the class, and the other half of the class is going to be doing independent practice. So when we're putting this together, I'm still here, I'm just getting my next thing ready to go. When we're setting this up, we really need to think about how would that look like. So I created a lesson plan. This one I created for a second grade classroom showcasing an independent practice and small group instruction. So this is what it would look like. So here is my lesson. My lesson is talking about how to represent numbers, odd and even. And this is the beginning of the school year, so this is a great review lesson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick it off whole group in my virtual classroom. I'm going to say to the students, welcome, I'm so glad you're here. This is day two of our virtual learning experience. Today we're talking about odd and even. And then I would actually have something manipulative talking about odd and even numbers. I'm giving myself about 10 minutes. You see how I have a time frame right here? 10 minutes to do that kind of introduction for the lesson. After that 10 minutes, during that 10 minutes, I should say, during that 10 minutes, I'm going to tell the students, I'm going to break you off. Half of you are going to stay on the Zoom call. The other, you can go and you're going to start working on your independent practice. So what does independent practice look like in a virtual world? Well, of course, we all have a bunch of worksheets, and I don't always want to do worksheets, but this is an easy way to get the students to do a worksheet. So I'm going to do a worksheet. And I know you're asking me this question. Marsha, they're in a virtual world. How are they supposed to print this out? Don't worry. I put this all into my Google Slides. Last week, I showed you how to make the worksheet the background image for your Google slide. If you did not see that, go back and watch my videos from last week. I went in and said, this is how you make a Google slide with an image, and then the kids can just write and draw on top of it. Or you can put it into Seesaw. You can put this activity into Seesaw and they can write, draw right on top of it. So this is for my beginners. And then my more advanced, oh, sorry, that's my more advanced, my second highest group. And then my kids are just beginning to learn about odd and even, a great practice skill. I would have them do this. The students are going to work in either independent or a mini lesson. So my small group, let me show you this schedule here. So my small group is going to be with me for 10 minutes. I'm going to give transition time, meaning that they're going to go from the small group and then they're going to transition to me, meaning get back on Zoom. And then I'm going to work with my second group. I'm going to do the same mini lesson. And in my mini lesson, I'm really breaking it down. I'm going by ability, trying to figure out what those students need. I just said ability. How do I know what those kids need? Well, of course, hopefully you give them some type of a pre-assessment on the first day to kind of see where they are with math skills, and then you can level set it. And if not, you can reteach the same mini lesson twice. Completely up to you. And then, of course, I have my independent practice, and then I'm going to close with a quick exit ticket to see how they're doing. So in that 15-minute blocks, I'm going to make sure I have 2 mini lessons, and then I'm going to go into doing some small independent practice and then exit ticket. I am going to make them answer using Pear Deck. The reason why I'm going to use Pear Deck is because I'm going to want to see them show me that they understand odd and even. Not their parents, not their siblings. I want to know if those students at that moment know odd and even numbers. So they're going to answer a couple questions, and that information is going to provide me what I'm going to do for the next day. All right. Real quick, I just want to show you what it would look like. One more thing I want to share, one more, is this is what it looks like with 2 studios. I have an introduction, small group, closing activity. And this works for all grade levels. Yeah, I showed you a second grade, but this can work for kindergarten. This can work for high school. This can work for even higher ed. We're going to just really focus in on teaching those students as small groups. And the reason why is because that small group is going to allow those students to answer questions. It's going to allow me to build that virtual relationship with them, because I need to make sure that they know that I care and I want to hear them. In a group of 24, I'm not going to be able to hear everybody's voice. Okay, so that's what it looks like from a teacher point of view. This is what it looks like from the student view. When they come into my class that day, they're going to do an introduction, they're going to do small group, they're going to do independent practice, and they're going to do closing. That's 50 minutes. Wouldn't that be great? Your virtual classroom is going to be engaging. You're going to get to know your students. Well, what do you think? Well, I'm going to see what you think. So I'm going to pause right here and see if you have any questions for me. I'm sure Allison is frantically over there typing away. So if you have any questions or if you want to ask me something, feel free. And I'm going to actually invite Jeff over so he can actually join in and answer questions as well. Anybody have anything that you would like to ask so far about what I just showed you with 2 studios in a virtual classroom? Aw, thank you, Vicki. I'm glad I inspire you. I'm trying my hardest to make sure that we come up with just creative ways to get these students engaged, even if it's in a virtual environment. Okay, in high school, we're not encouraged to get 50-minute lessons. I know, Liz, what you're saying right now, and I've been talking to a lot of administrators, curriculum directors, superintendents, and I think a lot of schools are rethinking the way that they're rolling this out. So if you cannot do 15 minutes, think about how you could just even pull kids in for this small group. But after talking to a lot of people over the last 5 weeks, it sounds like in the fall, we're going to try to get into a schedule, like what my nieces and nephews are doing, where they actually show up to school at 7:30 a.m. and then virtually, and then they go through the class schedule as if it were a traditional class. I'm not teaching the whole 50 minutes to those kids. They're doing independent practice, and then they're going to be doing some exit tickets. So you're right. It might not work for you, but we're really trying to push you to getting those kids into some type of a routine. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. Versions like A, B groups. Yes, you would have like an A, B group for sure. Yes, Lori, that is what I would put in. Oh, Jessica, you responded to her. Never mind. You got it, Jessica. Thanks.
Hey, Marcia.
Oh, yeah, Jeff.
Hey, welcome everybody. There's a couple questions on here in the chat about the breakout rooms. So They're wondering, if how they work, at a high level, I guess.
Gotcha. So we talked about this yesterday. We had a kind of a group that's meeting, talking just about deploying blended learning. A breakout room in Zoom is really good, but what I'm thinking about is that the kids would not necessarily be in a breakout room, but they would just leave the Zoom, meaning have it open, but they're doing something else. And then I would meet with that small group, just like what I'm doing here, but with only 5 or 6 kids, 10 kids, 15 kids, depending on the number of kids in my classroom. So I want to go steer away from using breakout and more think about learning studios. That way, when we're talking and putting this together, learning studios mean you're going to be doing a mini lesson, independent practice, digital content, or future ready. So I know before I said breakout rooms, but I think we're getting it confused with the breakout feature in Zoom. So more along the lines of learning studios. Ideal number of students, Elizabeth, good question. What are the ideal number of students in your classroom? Well, right now, when I am looking at my deployment plan, I am just breaking my class into 2 parts because I am using this as my training wheels. I'm really thinking about just getting the kids used to leaving the Zoom and coming back in, practicing independent practice. So I'm really going to just use this as my training wheels to get them into the blended learning process. Now, what does that mean later on? We're going to be adding more studios. So if I have a classroom of 24, 12 kids would be with me in my first group, 12 kids would be in my second group. But eventually, we're going to get lower numbers, okay? All right, let's keep going because I want to keep showing you what I need to help you with. Remember, we're doing first day of school, then we have 2 studios. The next time I meet with my students virtually, I might just do whole group. And the reason why I'm going to do whole group is because I want to bring them back together, talk about what they learned. How did they like it? Did they enjoy it? Was it hard? Did they like having the small group? Have those conversations with them because they're learning this just as much as you are, okay? On Thursday, you are going to, oh, Jeff told me to do this, so you guys made sure. Thank you, Jeff. I think that was a good advice. So you can see what days we're talking about. So on Thursday, we are going to be doing 2 studios. Again, small group instruction along with independent practice. So we're doing the same thing that we did on Tuesday, but now we're just going to repeat with different content, just a different way. You're just breaking your group into 2, so you can have that small group at talk time, and then they can be working independently. On Friday, in a virtual world, I think we'll probably have office hours, or we'll have time for the kids to work. I'm guessing. This does not mean it's going to be what your school does. I'm just taking advice from everybody else and how it went this spring. So I'm thinking that we're going to do 4 days of instruction and then have office hours for the kids to meet with us. Not for sure, just kind of giving you a heads up. Okay, so what does the second week look like? Let's keep rolling. The second week, so week 2, we have the same thing. So now on Monday, I'm going to do whole group instruction, meaning I'm going to bring everybody online and we're going to talk to them. So Liz, this might help you when you're thinking about, oh, I can't teach for 50 minutes. This could be where you introduce them and say, okay, now go do your independent practice, go do your digital content, be back here tomorrow ready to rock and roll. So you don't necessarily have to teach all 50 minutes for that day for sure. Now let's go Tuesday. Tuesday, the same thing that we did the other Tuesday before and Thursday. Again, just practicing, and independent work is one of the easiest ways to do this. Just because I showed you a worksheet does not mean you have to just use a worksheet. You can use online things as well, such as Newsela articles. You can use IXL. You can use GimKit. Those online resources can also count as independent practice. Then on Wednesday, we're going to be doing whole group as well. Thursday, I'm going to switch it up for you. You guys ready? Oh boy, what has she got up her sleeve this time, right? No, just kidding. It's not that crazy. It's just this time we're going to be adding in digital content. So we are going to be putting digital content and a mini lesson together for Thursday. So we're going to go in and have the same setup that I just showed you, but instead of doing independent practice, I'm going to do digital content. Let me define the difference between digital content and online resources. Digital content is where they're going to learn, and it's going to be adaptive. I talked about this last week, where when a student answers a question, it's going to either get harder or easier depending on how they answered it. So if they got the question right, it's going to get a little bit harder. If they got it right again, it's going to get a little bit harder, a little bit harder. If they got it wrong, it's going to get easier and easier. One of the ones that are really great to try out that are adaptive for this digital content would be Legends of Learning. Those people who are joining me, you know I haven't mentioned this one yet, and there's a reason. Legends of Learning is usually always paid, but right now it is free, and I say take advantage of it. Go explore it. If you don't want to do that, then think about what you have currently. Maybe you have iReady. Maybe you have Freckle. Maybe you're using Khan Academy. Those are adaptive programs that you could put right here. Digital content, when I'm putting together digital content, it is mimicking what I'm doing in my small group instruction. So these two things are going to be teaching the same thing, just in different ways. One with me, and one through some online program that is going to help build up the skills of the students. All right. Whew, that was a lot for digital content. Friday, office hours. Just because it says Friday office hours doesn't mean you get to go out, hang out with your friends halfway through the day. It means you got to get your work together and get ready for the next week. So you got to get all of your mini lesson videos done. You got to make sure your virtual classroom is set up for the following week. This takes a lot of time to do. Trust me. Just to do this 1 hour workshop, I think I put in close to 6 hours because I want to make it as engaging and inviting as possible. Now, doesn't mean I want you to spend 6 hours getting ready for a lesson. It just means that you put into it, making sure people are going to be want to watch and listen. Okay, so this is week, oh, see, I knew my little week things were going to come in handy. So this was week 1 up here. This was week 1. This was week 2. We just finished week 2. Now we're getting ready to go into week 3. Okay, week 3. Week 3, start out whole group again. Oh, this is getting kind of easy. I'm getting the swing of this, and so should your students. Uh-oh, we have future ready. Future ready means that they're going to do something hands-on. They're going to do a mini lesson, and they're going to do something hands-on. We're in a virtual world, so what would that look like? Maybe if I go back to that 2nd grade lesson, and we're talking about odd and even, maybe they videotape themselves counting odd and even. In a high school setting, maybe what you're going to do is you're going to have them go into Deck Toys. Yep, you heard me. DECK dot TOYS. Deck Toys. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be engaging. It's going to be where kids are creating, collaborating, working together to achieve a board, complete a board. I was working with my brother today, a high school social studies teacher, and we came up with 5 ways to teach the Bill of Rights. One way was to do a little sorting activity, and we're going to be using different websites that are going to help the kids sort out the Bill of Rights, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Okay, so future ready, some way that they're going to create, something that they could collaborate with, something to show that they understand your concepts. All right, the next one, Wednesday whole group. What do you think this one is? Oh, we're going back to digital content and small group instruction. And the reason why we're going to be doing that is because we really want to focus in on that digital content, really with those students. Just because I have it here where they're splitting it up does not mean digital content is going to be the only place. I'm just going to really focus and I'm breaking the group apart and saying, now's your time to go do Khan Academy. Now's your time to be with me in a small group. So it's not I'm not just doing it twice, I'm just making it specific times that they go and do that, all right? Then of course I have office hours. So week 3 is going to really kind of mimic what week 2 looked like. So this deployment plan that we've kind of set up so far is just training, just getting those students ready and training you to do something different. You're teaching in a different environment. And I don't want to throw that all out there and say, okay, we're going to do 5 different studios, go. No, start with 2 and build up. All right, I'm going to stop and see if we have any questions. I know Allison and Jeff are frantically behind the scenes typing away and answering. So is there anything that you need me to share out? Do you like my little hide and seek activity? I do. I think it's kind of fun. Oh, well, I do have to tell you though, we've been in quarantine for how many weeks, and I get to just talk to my husband. So this creativity side of myself is really starting to shine a little bit, just because I'm getting geeked up about being able to do something new and different. All right, any new messages? Let's see. All right, do you think data meetings could be incorporated in office hours? Yes, absolutely. I think when we get to that point, we're not there yet. Right now, we're just going through and getting set up in these 2 learning studios, but eventually, yes, we are definitely going to be putting data meetings in there, but we're not there. That could be at a different time, okay? All right, whew, let's keep going. All right, so let me switch over. We are now into week 4. You guys, by the time this is up, we are going to have at least 9 weeks that we're going to have rolled out for your virtual blended learning deployment plan. So we got our weeks. We have no school. What? Yeah, this is the first Monday of September. So I didn't put school there. So if that is actually your schedule, congratulations, you get a day off. All right, we're going back to whole group. We're going back to future ready. So far, we're doing exactly the same thing, but now I'm putting 2 side by side just because we didn't have school this day. Still kick it off, get them into it, and then go into small group for future ready, and then digital content. So this week, these students are going to be really working and getting used to all of these different environments. So it makes it easier for you when you're setting this up to really think about, all right, I'm going to keep training, and then get them going. That's week 4. Week 4 in the books. Let's do week 5. All right, week 5. Same thing, training, no big difference until Wednesday. Now in Wednesday, we are going to move to 3 studios. We have trained them, we practice, and in 1 week's time, they have practiced 2 mini lessons with me in that same environment for at least 4 weeks. Now, in week 5, we're going to go into 3 different studios. Let me show you what that looks like. So in a view from a teacher viewpoint, the teacher is going to kick off the group, do a whole group introduction. They're going to do small group 1, small group 2, small group 3. That means they're going to break their class of 24 now into 3 different groups. I would say that in this group, I would definitely think about it as my struggling students, my lower struggling students, or maybe sometimes it could be the higher students that are just, they need to hear it from you first before they go. By this time, 5 weeks in, you're going to really know some data that's going to help drive that instruction. This would be kind of like my middle group. I wanted my middle group to come with me second. And then this would be my high group, because I want my high group to be able to go out and try and do everything else first, and then we're going to really enrich what they're learning. So this is this teacher view, introduction, small group, and then a closing activity. And that closing activity could be that exit ticket to help you drive that. Okay? This is what it looks like from the student view. In the student view, they're going to start out with an introduction. And again, I'm going to show you here in a second what that introduction time looks like. Then they're going to be going to a group. So this could be my lower student. This is his schedule. He's going to start here. Then he can choose between these. He can either go to independent next, or he can go to digital content. But because I'm training them in this blended learning environment and trying to really move towards differentiation, I'm going to either say, hey, choose, or you know what, Jeff, you just left my group, therefore I want you to go to independent next, because I want you to try what I just taught you. So the students can pick and choose, or they are going to be told which ones to go to. So I made a lesson. This lesson is a language arts lesson, and I did it from a 5th grade point of view. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So my 5th grade lesson this time is talking about quotes and using quotes in stories, because again, closer to the first part of the year, but you can change up whatever it works for you. This is the time frame. Now, if you take a look at my time frame here, and I'm going to zoom in here, it's so super nice I can do this so you guys can see it better. So when I do this, I'm going to start out with 5-minute whole group. My transition time now, look at my transition time. My transition time went from 5 minutes to 2 minutes. That's a big difference. And I want to make sure I have transition time, but they don't need 5 minutes like they did at the beginning of the year, because now they know, oh yeah, Mrs. Kish is going to bring me back over. I need to be ready to go when my time is up, when my time to join her. Okay? So then I have group 2, group 1, and then group 3. And then I'm going to do a closing and an exit. That's still my 15 minutes. Now, if you have more time than that, of course, you can extend those mini lessons. The small group instruction is really where you want to spend the most time. I would never extend my whole group unless I absolutely need to, but I would really push more time into my small group instruction because that's going to really help to increase the knowledge of the students, and it's also going to make them feel like they're learning from me, not Khan Academy. Nothing wrong with Khan Academy, I'm just saying, okay? So here's the lesson. The lesson, I'm going to go over the lesson with you just so you can kind of see it. The students are going to do, I'm going to do a quick read aloud and really talk about quote marks. If I'm using a hover cam, this would be a really good time to be reading and letting the kids see you reading, and you can do it just like what I'm doing here, where they can see my screen and they can really focus in on quotation marks. I'm going to stop and I'm going to show them how to highlight it in a book. All right, I'm going to make sure they know what to do and move on. Group one, I'm starting to differentiate now. I was the first time, but now I know my students, so I really need to bring back group one. And in group one, I'm going to talk about an anchor chart. I love anchor charts because it gives that quick visual. Do you see how visually it is appealing to you right now to be able to see this? Well, same thing when I'm in doing my lesson. I want to talk to them as if they're in my classroom. So create anchor charts, create things that they can see that you can talk them through. Like here's an example of when to use it, how to use it, and an example. So in your mini lesson, you're going to break it down for them. Then you're going to really just dive in. They're going to look for a book. And again, you could do this with your hover cam, where you can go through and look for quotation marks. Group two, same thing, but I'm moving quicker. I'm moving quicker into the lesson. So they're going to go into look for theirs, and they're going to share out what the quote marks mean. And if you look at the lesson objective says that they have to make identifications of predicting what's going to be said. And that's what my higher group is going to do. They're still looking for quotation marks, quote marks in the book, but they're going to really work on that higher level thinking of what do you make a prediction? What do you think that author is going to say? My independent work. Wow, there's a lot of stuff out there. This one I found on education.com. It's just a printable, and I can have these questions in a Google form that the students answer so I can know that they did it. But here it is, just talking about quote marks. And I can just have that as an image or a PDF that they read, and then they could go to Google Form to answer these questions for me. I would also look at ReadWorks. ReadWorks has a bunch of fiction and nonfiction text that you can use in all Lexile levels, and it's all tied to standards. Finally, digital content. Here's where I would do for digital content. In digital content, I would tell them to go to Freckle, and then I would also have them go to Edpuzzle. My closing, again, Pear Deck. Now, if you don't want to use Pear Deck and you want to use Nearpod, completely fine. That works just the same. All right, 3 studios laid out for you. I'm going to stop and see if I can help you answer some questions. I see we have 13 of them. Poor Jeff and Allison are going to town. And probably Jessica, she's out there helping as well. Okay, I will look into these breakout rooms. Okay, anything else, anything I need to do? Jeff, Allison, anything you need me to help with? You know what, Kelly Nisen, I agree. If you did set it up, you could set it up with a timer in the breakout rooms. I think that's fine. I just don't want people to get stressed out. When I say breakout rooms, they get like, well, what are the kids going to do? So if you want them just to go out and do something and come back in, completely fine. Or you can set that timer in the Zoom breakout room and bring them back and forth. Completely works. That way you don't have to worry about getting those kids logged back in and out and in and out. So again, it's all about training. It's your classroom. I'm giving you just ideas, but really think about when you're lesson planning that you're thinking about in learning studios, because those learning studios are going to really help you to move to the next level. And it's good to see you, Kelly, as always. All right. Any other questions? Yes, they are available for the download. And in fact, I'm going to put that in here right now. I'm putting in the link where you can go into, oh, I got to make sure everybody sees this. I'm going to make sure you can see the link that you can go in to get this. Everything that I have here, including the templates that I showed you earlier, like this one here where it goes through, whoops, not that one, I dropped that one. Like all of this that I have, it sets it up for you, the deployment plan. That is under this link. So I'm going to put it right here for you. You can go and grab it. And you know what? It's kind of a good time to give away a prize. One, because I can't catch my breath, but two, because you know we all want to have a hover cam. We see how amazing it is. So the hover cam winner is the first person that can tell me my hometown. I love the song Hometown by Logan Mize, and I was listening to it all day today. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good one. If you could tell me what town I grew up in, you will get the hover cam. Jeff knows the answer, so he will watch. No, not Houston. My hometown where I grew up when I was a kid. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. Jeff will let me know when you get a winner. This is a really good prize. I think it's like $250 online, so I hope you win it. All right. We're going to keep rocking and rolling. So we're still in week 4. We're going into week 5 here, okay? So here is our days of the week. We have 3 studios the next day. We're going to be doing independent practice, digital content, as we did before, and voila, test day. The test. I am doing so many workshops for school districts talking about how to do good formative assessment. So the test is going to be not just answering multiple choice. This is where I'm going to be doing something with a choice board. I'm going to put, this is what I created. This is one of the things that I talked about when I was working about assessments. I shared this out with one of my school districts, but I'm going to give the students a choice board. So if we're talking about quotation marks, they're going to have to act it out, draw it out, or sing it out. That is how I'm going to do the assessment. And I'm going to have a rubric right there in either my Google Classroom or in my learning management system to show the kids what exactly I'm looking for. So I'm going to be using this type of assessment to really make sure that the kids are paying attention to this. These are also on our website, so you can grab these. All right. Next, let's go into, so that is week 5. We have finished week 5, super exciting. Now let's go into week 6. We're almost halfway through the first 9 weeks. We're past halfway. So now week 6, we have whole group. We're doing a 3 again. We're doing, oops, you guys can't see it. Let me move it up for you. We're doing small group instruction, and we are doing independent practice, future ready. So we're doing these things again. Do you notice every single time there's small group, small group, small group? Remember, you're the most important part. We want to make sure you're still teaching those little guys. All right, the whole group, we're going to be doing 3 again, and then we have your office hours. This would definitely be time where you could be starting to do some data meetings. Definitely telling, hey, you're getting your work done. This is what it looks like. These are your test scores. This is how you keep improving. Keep building up towards that. Don't scare the kids off right away. We want them to embrace this whole virtual learning. All right, that was an easy one. That wasn't too hard. There's week 6 in the books. Now we're ready for week 7. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna get a little bit trickier. We're going into it. We're getting close, and I just dropped it on you. 4 studios at one time. We are going to be doing independent practice, digital content, mini lesson, future ready, all in one time. How am I going to do that? Remember, we're now talking about week 7 here. So I have trained you, you've learned how to do it, the students know how to do it, the parents know what to expect. So let's take a look at a sample lesson. This is a high school example, okay? So this is a high school example, and I love it. I called my brother up today. He's a high school social studies teacher, and he helped me with this, so I'm super excited. All right, so here's an example. Can you guys see this okay? It looks like it got a little dim. Let's see if I can get it brighter there. Okay, so here it is. We're gonna go into, I'm sorry, whoops. This is the social studies one. I just didn't change it. So here it is. We're gonna go into talking about, no, I was right. I didn't change my paper. Whoops. This helps. Okay. We're going to do the teacher review for 4 studios. We're going to do introduction, small group, small group, small group, small group, closing activity in 50 minutes. We got this, right? So we're going to be doing the same thing, but now we're just going to be breaking it up. What does it look like from the student view? In the student view, they're going to join my Zoom meeting. They're going to do a small group depending on who it is. Again, I'm going to pull them back. So this is one of my students. This time I'm going to flip it on them. I'm going to bring my high kids back first. I want to get them in, get them out, so maybe I can spend a little bit more time with those kids who are struggling. Then they're going to have a choice between these activities. They can do independent practice, they can do digital content, or they can do future ready. They just have to be back into my Zoom meeting by that time that it's up. So let's say at 8:50, they have to be back in there so we can get ready to go. All right, here's the lesson I was looking for. I apologize. All right, it is social studies, and yes, this is the one that my brother helps me with, the Bill of Rights, and we're talking about the Bill of Rights and what that looks like. So in my lesson, I'm going to go over the Bill of Rights, talk to them, find an infographic that's going to show them that the Bill of Rights and the amendments and all those things that I'm going to say here are this is what you need to know. When we're in this, talking with my brother, he decided that if we're going to be differentiating, the most important ones are Amendment 9 and 10. That's really hard for the students. And believe it or not, it ties in so well with COVID-19 because these are when the states have the power. And that's what the state and the governments have been fighting about, who's going to open, who's not. So this is a perfect lesson to kind of kickstart your year with. So then we're going to go into the info chart again with group 2. So remember, my low group is this group. But remember, I said I'm starting with my high group. So this is what my high group is going to be doing right here. So my low group is going to be doing that. Group 2, my middle group, is going to be really working on the infographic again. And then we're going to be talking about how this has pertained to COVID-19. Then we're going to go into group 3. Yes, they're doing the same thing, but I'm still going to keep them in small groups. So group 3 and group 4 are going to do the same thing, but we're going to really go into thinking about the situations we state and the government, who has a right to say what, and it's going to be kind of like a little scenario card situation. The students are going to go into Newsela. If you're not using Newsela yet, please put this on your list as something to use, especially in a virtual environment. The reason being is because Newsela allows you to Lexile up to 6 different levels. Every student reads the same article, but it's at 6 different levels. Right now it's free, but if you are looking for something to purchase, it would be purchasing Newsela, okay? Here's an example of that Newsela article. So this one's talking about the students are protesting gun and violence rights. So this article has 2 of the amendments talking about it. And I Lexile leveled it up to 740. So the kids are going to be reading that at a 740. They're going to read the questions, they're going to read the article, sorry, and then they're going to answer the questions that go along with it. You guys, this is a really great way for independent practice because they have the ability to read at their level. If you purchase it, then you will get the ability to see how the students are doing. So that's my independent practice, is Newsela. My digital content, I added in a video, a 3-minute TED Talk video about the Bill of Rights, and I watched it. It's quick, it's short, and to the point. I don't want to bore them, but I want them to actually have time to go back and review it. When they're done watching that video, they're going to start working on deck toys. This is a sample of a deck toy. A deck toy starts out where they're going to start in this area. When they get those questions right and they understand it, they get to move on. This adventure through deck toys, and yes, this goes clear down to, I think there's some 1st grade deck toys pre-made for you if you have it. So this is 9th grade and it goes all the way down. Take a look at deck toys. But it's like an adventure, and when they get it right, they can either go this path or they can go this path, and it's going to create, based on how they answer, their own little learning curve to teach them the Bill of Rights. It's a really great digital content activity to really help them with it because they're playing kind of game-like activities, and before they know it, they're going to probably miss your small group because they're so engaged in it. So you got to make sure you get them back. And then they're future ready. This is what the website that I was talking about, that learningapps.com. Learningapps.com is going to be a sorting activity where the Bill of Rights are going to have to match them up. First Amendment, Second Amendment, what does that look like? And they have to match them up to make it. My exit ticket, again, I'm going to go into the Pear Deck or Nearpod, and they're going to answer a couple questions. I need to know if those kids actually did what they were supposed to in that 15 minutes. When we are rolling out blended learning, we're working on being able to hear it, being able to read it, tactile learning. We're going to be able to hear it in a different way. So we're really working on all those tactile and kinesthetic. I know it's not the best kinesthetic because we're in a virtual environment, but it's pretty close, correct? Okay, there we go. We got that done. Whew, that was a big one. I was really excited about that too. Okay, we're now just accomplished our first 4 studio learning lesson in a virtual environment. The rest of the week continues. We got a whole group. I'm going to do 4 studios again, and then I'm going to do a test day. When I was rolling out blended learning in a normal classroom, I should say normal, pre-COVID classroom, a lot of teachers, when they're started with blended learning, they'd always start out with using it as a review day. This review day really just helps the students to just practice before they go. All right, that's week 7. Whew, we got this. Week 8. Week 8 is going to roll the same way. You guys, look, I'm just adding in 2 days of studios. The rest is going to be rolled out like you would normally have it, so you don't have to worry so much. It's completely fine. There was one other week. I counted the first week of professional development, the first week. So this is week 8. So I lied. It's 8 weeks, not 9 weeks with students. That happens. But that's how I would roll it out. That's what my virtual blended learning environment would look like. And it's going to really just help the teachers and students just get ready and used to that format. And not so much worrying about everybody doing blended learning every day. Really focusing on training them to get to this point, because what's coming next is phase 2. And phase 2 is really where we use that data to drive our instruction even more. It's where we really try to take the learning to the next level. Before I bring it back and end up for the day, I do have another thing I want to share out with you. If you're looking for tech tools, we posted these 2. These are like 20 different tech tools for the middle school classroom, and it's tech superheroes. And not only do you get this, but then you also get access to videos, and you get access to all the great things that go along with learning about tech tools. And we also did one for high school. It's how to make cool lessons with tech tools. And these are, if you look at it, it says creating, collaborating, engaging, rewarding. How can you reward the students? And then, of course, academic websites. We built videos, we have resources, and we teach you how to use it. So when you're doing some digital content or even future-ready activities, those are the websites that you want to use. Sorry, I just had to share it. I spent a lot of time working on it this week. So what I'm going to do now is bring it back. And I know my friend Allison has created a lesson. So if we have time, we'll go and share out with her. But I just want to see how you guys are doing. What do you think? Is it hurting your brain? Was it too much? Let me know how I can help you. Okay, what about elementary? Okay, Natasha, you asked about what about elementary? Let me see what you're saying. And preschool. Huh, I know. What is it going to look like? So you will have to train them. You're not going to be doing 45, 50 minutes with, let's say, kindergarten. Let's just go kindergarten. Kindergarten, I'm going to do it where I have a whole group. We read aloud. We talk about it. I get them comfortable in that environment first. You might not be rolling into different studios until maybe week 5 or week 6, because you just want to be with them, talk to them, get them going. You might be splitting your class into 2 different Zoom meetings. So you might just repeat yourself with group A at 8 o'clock and then group B at 9 o'clock. And you just repeat the whole group lesson until they feel comfortable. And then that's when you can start to bring them all together for whole group and then break them into parts. But you have to start small, especially those preschoolers who are coming up into kindergarten. They didn't have spring to practice in this virtual environment. So we just really need to break it down for them. Breathe. It's okay. Just because I said that this isn't a guide does not mean you have to follow it like a Bible. I had so many people saying that to me that last year. They're like, but Marsha, you said, I almost said Aunt Marsha. Marsha, you said I had to do all this. This is my 5th week. I had to be at 3 studios. Well, if you're not there and your students aren't there, don't worry. Get there when you're comfortable. Get there when your kids are comfortable. But just try to set this as a goal, because if we keep moving in this environment, then when we get to that next phase 2, where we're allowing it to work at their own pace, we're going to be able to fix that COVID slide. And we need to get them into this learning environment so we can really start to differentiate. We can't differentiate a whole group. We just can't. It's impossible. It's really hard to do. If you can't do that, let me know. I would love to hear how you set that up. But I'm really thinking that we just go at your own speed, but have this as a goal. Keep working that way. Format multiple times a day. Okay, Jill, you're asking what does it look like when you're teaching the same thing? All right, you would roll it out usually pre-March, pre-COVID, I would tell people start with one subject and then move forward. So right now, math is kind of like a big hit because that's the one that we're going to see the most uh, slide in, the least amount of people kind of like picking up speed with math. We got to pick that up. So I would say start this process with math first, then build it in with language arts. Of course, all subject areas are important, but we just know that math is going to take the biggest hit with this whole not being in school. So start with math, then build it up. I have a lot of teachers who say the same thing all the time. I can't do it with for everything. I'm like, don't. Do it with what your passion subject is. If your passion is language arts, do it with language arts. Do something that gets you excited. Like I get excited about blended learning. I get excited because people are going to start using all these things in their classrooms in different ways. And to me, it's easy to plan for this. If your passion is social studies, do it with social studies. And then once your kids get trained, then you can take it to another level, take it to another subject. You're welcome. Any other questions you have for me? Jeff, did we get a winner?
We absolutely got a winner. We got everything from San Diego to Atlanta to Columbus to Texas. But Cheryl Helt.
Nice job, Cheryl.
Cheryl Helt guessed Wilshire, Ohio.
Yay! She must have found it on Facebook. All right, Cheryl, make sure you get Jeff your email address and we will send you a brand new hover cam. Congratulations. We're super excited that you won. All right, we do have about 10 minutes left. I know Allison has a lesson that she has for what we're calling a hybrid, but I think I'm going to have you save it for next week, Allison. Is that okay? And then we could go in. If you would want to see her lesson plan, email Allison. She could put her email in there and she could walk you through it if you want to. But I am going to continue this next week again, but I'm going to be talking more about like, what if you go back into an A-B schedule? What if you go back to where kids come back for 1 week and they're at home another week? So a lot of schools sound like they're going to be starting school in a virtual. So I really wanted to spend today in a virtual environment, and then we're going to build that up into going into a hybrid. And then we can also talk about like the new normal if you're going back to school in a social distancing environment. I can't believe we have this many people on, still on. We're on at an hour, 125 people are still hanging out with us, and I'm super excited even after an hour into it. You guys, there's so much out there. There's so many great resources. Keep following us and keep looking at our YouTube videos. Man, I'm pushing stuff out there every time. Yesterday, I made 20 new videos about tech tools. The day before, I made 25 videos about tech tools. So we keep pushing it out there for you guys to learn. So make sure you're following us on all the social medias, of course, Twitter, of course, YouTube. Follow our websites. We just want to share. We want to help you to get ready for next school year. And don't forget, we definitely are out here to help do professional development too. And I do it the same way, but if we don't do it in an hour, we slow it down for any of the schools looking for it. Anything else anybody wants to say, Jeff or Allison? I know you're behind the scenes. And it goes quiet.
No, everything's good. We've been answering. There's been a lot of great questions, and most people are just wondering how this is going to work, doing this online and getting your students involved, which is something we've all struggled with while teaching at home.
And I know you have told me about that, Allison, just like being like, well, how do I get them to participate? And I think if we really think about these learning studios and making it good quality learning studios, then I think the students will participate. But we have to start at the beginning. We can't wait until 5 weeks in and say, okay, now let's break up into learning studios. Those kids are gonna be like, whatever, I'm gonna go to work, or hey, I'll just watch your video later. So we really wanna make sure that we start off on a really positive note. The biggest thing is to remember, you get excited when those kids come into your classroom for the first week of school. Make sure you have that excitement for your Zoom meetings too. All right, I still see questions coming in, but at the same time, I'm going to wrap it up for today. So thank you everybody for coming. This video will be recorded and put onto YouTube so you can watch it later. Thanks everyone and have a great day.